You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new signature wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mix with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
There's a place
out where the fake news is muffled,
past the point where politicians get silent,
where facts don't care about your feelings, where PC is DOA. This is that place. Welcome to the last stop on the right.
As Joe Enlai told William McKinley at the end of the Scopes monkey trial,
the last pod is the best pod, yo.
Yo. Scattered through history, aren't we?
Well, much like shower mold, the last pod on the right is everywhere. Welcome, my friends. It is the last pod on the right here at laststopontheright.com and through our friends at KLRN Radio, America's podcast network. I am Ben Crystal.
I am Mike Abel.
Want to remind you real quickly before we get into it today how easy it is for you to get in touch with us. Through the social media, of course, we have the fabulous Twitter account at LastStopOTR. There is a Facebook group dedicated to the Last Stop on the Right, which is active and fun. And it's an easy way for you to find both Mikey and me.
We are.
Because we're on the Facebook. So you can find us at the Last Stop on the Right, at Last Stop OTR on Twitter, and Last Stop on the Right. Just search for the group on Facebook. Of course, check out our website, laststopontheright.com, through which it is super easy for you to interact with us. There's email, there's buttons. I learned to code buttons.
Nice.
So you can button stuff. You can press the button and come talk to us. Send us an email. A lot of stuff actually is on our schedule for today, Michael. And why don't we go ahead right now and take a look and see what is in our dumpster for this week.
All right. Well, that's a no on 9/11. How America's darkest day is done.
I'm going to avoid commenting.
Okay.
Until you're done, even though I'm doing it right now. So that's already out the window.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going then. Yeah. Beto gets your guns.
Beto gets your guns. Beto
Robert,
get your guns.
Exactly. Robert Francis plans civil war.
He sure, well, okay. Yeah. I said I'm going to wait.
There you go. Right. Debate that. The Democrats' latest disaster.
Doink.
Doink. Impeach this. Has Pelosi lost control of her minions?
Oh, gam.
And the Dems go down. More moral victories for the left.
Yay.
Moral victories.
And
of course, football.
Football? But football is the devil.
No, it ain't.
Football the devil. Yeah, we got to talk football. And there's other notes in here and stuff that we're probably not going to get to. But I just wanted to. I want to start with this. I know it was a couple of days ago. And it's obviously been done to death over the last almost 2 decades now. But 9/11 earlier this week, the 18th anniversary thereof. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about regarding 9/11. First of all, I don't do all the memes and the where were you things and the telling the stories. And it's not an objection. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. People grieve and or memorialize events that mean something to them in whatever way they do it. And I'm not going to criticize you for that.
Right.
But it strikes me that so much of it is, and I kind of feel like this is one of the things that makes, sorry, President Trump, makes America great, is our ability to compartmentalize things like that to the point that we can basically turn it into an internet meme.
Right.
Because you look at all of the social media, which is essentially how Americans communicate with each other these days. Because, God forbid we should actually talk to one another.
Right.
Yeah. Why would I talk to you when I can Snapchat you? Why would I actually have a conversation with you when I can Instagram quote you or whatever the hell it is? But it's just this flood tide of memes. I don't like looking at the pictures.
No.
I never have. As we've gotten farther away from 9/11, I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I remember it quite well.
Right.
And I don't enjoy reliving it. So, I mean, and again, not criticizing people because you're going to deal with it however you deal with it.
Right.
And that's fine. But for me, and I know you're different, you specifically, and you're not alone in this, you like to hash this stuff out publicly.
9/11, I really didn't. The only thing I said was never forget.
Well, yeah, and I see that, and I'm like, well, who the hell is gonna forget?
Well, my kids.
But see, and that's another part of it, though. And of course, the rancor that goes with it,
right?
And the dumbass comments from people that probably should have kept their mouths shut that go with it. And it's this flood tide of everybody. I almost feel like kind of trying to elbow their way into being a part of it. And, and we've talked about this before. It gets on my nerves because I feel like when somebody famous dies or something bad happens, I feel like at least half of what you see on social media and in the papers or wherever is less about recognizing the tragedy therein and more about, hey, this is how it affected me. And there's, again, I don't want to seem unreasonable, but I get the sense that for a lot of people, it's more like, hey, pay attention to me relative to this, as opposed to pay attention to this.
Right.
And that gets me nuts. And that's just not my way.
Right.
And then, of course, add to that the fact that I have no interest in, and people, before we get to next year's 19th anniversary of 9/11, stop posting the videos. I don't need, that is something that drives me nuts. I don't need to see the videos of the plane. Did you see this angle? Did you see this angle? This is an incredible angle. I don't know if you remember this, but wow, look at it. It's just, it's so horrible. And it's the videos over, and stop posting the damn videos.
Right.
Those are people on those planes. Those are people in those buildings. You're literally when you put a video of, and for a lot of people, it's the second plane because that's the one everybody saw live.
Right.
When you put that video on Facebook or you put it on Twitter, you are literally to me, it's a snuff video.
Oh, yeah.
You're showing people dying live.
Exactly. You show the buildings falling and you're showing 3,000 people losing their lives.
And I understand, like I said, with the pictures, and you're not going to get away from it. I would prefer if all of that stuff, because nobody that was there will remember it, will forget it.
No, yeah.
And you pointed out a moment ago.
And we weren't there.
Well, but you pointed out a moment ago, for your kids, because they weren't even alive yet. And it occurred to me that one of the problems that I think I have with the way people treat looking back at 9/11, in addition to the political stuff that goes along with it, which we'll talk about a little bit here in a moment, instead of instructing younger people, you and I were not alive when Kennedy was assassinated.
No.
However, as we came up, our parents explained to us, or school, somebody explained to us what had happened and what it was like.
Right.
But we don't sit there and watch the damn video, you know, and that Zapruder film is out there, and people do like to watch that. But to me, I'm like, I don't want to see this stuff.
Right.
But I didn't need, you know, they just explained it to you. They said this was horrible. Everybody in the country, in the world, knows exactly where they were when they found out. You know, for the Challenger explosion.
Right, right.
You know, I understand, and people that were not alive when the Challenger blew up understand the impact on which that it exerted on the American public. Because kids were watching that. You know, this summer I helped my older brother out. I took my nephew to visit college. He's in the process now of applying and doing all that stuff.
Right.
And he had a college he wanted to see that's fairly close to where we are. So I said, well, you know, I'll jump in there. I'll take him. No big deal. And I took him up there, and now looking back on it, I'm like, he wasn't born yet.
For 9/11?
He was not alive
No,
yet.
yeah, no.
You know, there's a whole generation of kids that are now either going to college or have just started freshman year who...
I thought about it earlier this week. It's like my
this
daughter...
year's freshman class.
My daughter started high school this year, and probably nobody in her school was alive when that happened.
Even the seniors.
Unless they're, hey, I'm a fifth-year senior.
Well, you get a few of those. but for example, taking my nephew to college, it occurred to me, his class, there is not going to be a single person in his freshman class, wherever he goes, that remembers it because they weren't alive yet.
Right.
And that happens. That's the nature of
that's us with Kennedy, and that's, our parents with Pearl Harbor.
The inexorable march of history.
Right.
Our parents with Pearl Harbor. They remember. I feel like we fetishize it more than we do memorialize it. It bothers me a little bit. It also bothers me that there are now kids, and this is a part of this that I think is worth discussing, and nobody wants to discuss it because, you can't talk about it like that. You know, 9/11 is sacrosanct, and no discussion of it can happen that isn't appropriately maudlin or whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking, you realize that we have an entire group of recruits right now in basic training. Or actually, we probably got some that are already over there. Kids, 18-year-olds, that are going to be or have been deployed to Afghanistan, a war that began because of 9/11. It is now 18 years later, an entire generation has gone by.
Yeah.
We have all new kids that you have boots on the ground in Afghanistan. Those kids were not alive when it happened.
Nope.
That war started because of 9/11, and now you've got kids that are younger than the war who are now serving in it. And see,
that's very true.
You know, you meme that you can put your memes on your social media. You can have your little virtue signaling. Oh, I remember you. Where were you? And never forget and all that. And that's fine. But that's all we do.
Right.
Nobody wants to apparently to discuss the fact that we have been fighting a war against the guys who did it longer than the newest recruits in the U.S. military have been alive.
That's very true.
And I can't think, with the exception of the goofy crap the Euros used to get into during the Renaissance and the Middle Ages, where they'd have the 30 Years' War,
right?
The 100 Years' War. Modern history. I know it's oxymoronic, but whatever. Modern history, I can't think of an example of a war that lasted so long that when you had all new recruits who weren't alive when the war started.
No,
We have now been in Afghanistan longer than the youngest recruits in the military have been alive, and we're still sending them over there. And every week,
the revolution that's probably the longest one that we had. Either that or Vietnam.
No, Vietnam was longer than the revolution.
Was it?
Well, I mean, the revolution theoretically only lasted 8 years.
Okay.
Vietnam lasted, they say 15, but more like 17.
Right. While we were there.
Right. But so, Vietnam is gone now. Vietnam is no longer the standard of military occupations that the U.S. gets into that we can't get out of. And we haven't gotten out of it. And sometime in the next couple of weeks, if it hasn't happened already while we're talking here on the last pod on the right, somebody is going to die in Afghanistan wearing a U.S. military uniform. And it's possible that it will be someone who was not alive when that war started. To me, that's the stuff we should be focusing on. Yes, be sad that it happened. Grieve however you must. What bothers me more than that, beyond the fetishization of grief, which has become a hallmark of being an American. And again, It's also one of the things that makes America great because we are essentially bulletproof when it comes to emotion. It's sad that 3,000 people died. It is heartbreaking that it happened. But, how about a video of the guys that are getting on a C-130 to go over to Bagram?
Right.
Because we're still fighting the damn war with no end in sight.
No.
And Trump said this week he got rid of John Bolton.
Right.
Which one would presume, given Trump's comments, would lend themselves to the idea that maybe Bolton was too hawkish for Trump.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, we'll never really know.
Right.
No, not that it really matters. I would like to think that would be an indication that Trump is leaning toward getting us out of some of this crap.
Right.
I mean, let me point out that not only we've been in Afghanistan for 18 years now, almost, but it's not like we've spent more time in Iraq than we did in Vietnam.
Bill? You're
Not
right.
to mention all the other myriad places that you don't even know about unless somebody gets killed in an ambush that we have guys right now. Like, how many Americans knew that there was a country called Niger?
Yeah, no doubt.
Much less aware that we had soldiers there until a bunch of spec ops guys got whacked over there in a Muslim
even Somalia.
ambush. Well,
was that way.
At least we know people know about Somalia. Maybe they know about it because of a movie, but they know about it.
Well, yeah.
A couple of our guys got killed in a Muslim ambush in Niger. Niger. Until that moment, I would be willing to bet 99% of Americans were not aware that there was such a country, or whatever. Is that like Nigeria, and you're saying it wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, it's a totally different place. Wait till they find out there's a country in Africa called Chad.
Yo, what?
Chad, you got a country named after you, dude. That's awesome. Look at a country named after me. But and beyond all of that, I think we need to discuss, or I think Americans en masse, as a national discussion, need to talk about the way we are approaching stomping these guys.
Right.
Because it isn't working let me put it to you this way, kids. Islamofascists are like toadstools. Okay? They are. You can get rid of if you got toadstools in your yard, you go out there, you get rid of the toadstools. Mm-hmm. It rains the next day, more toadstools. Mm-hmm. You can keep up with it. You can you can generally keep the toadstools out of your yard if you are, vigilant about toadstool removal.
Yep.
However, if the guy next door to you has toadstools in his yard, are you really going to go over and handle his toadstools as well?
Yeah,
maybe he doesn't want you to or doesn't care. But that's what we've started doing.
The wind blows and they're in your yard.
We're all over the damn globe getting rid of toadstools.
Yep.
It isn't working because we don't have enough stuff to get rid of all the toadstools. There's just too many of them. And once, you get rid of one, it rains the next day and there's another one.
It's a lot more than that.
So we're in Afghanistan now. Almost 20 years of Afghanistan. Getting rid of Islamic toadstools, basically. We're fighting mold all over the world. And I keep saying, we got two of these clowns in our U.S. House of Representatives. Maybe our problems lie closer to home.
Right.
Well, it's something to think about. 18 years after Never Forget, right? Mm-hmm. And now Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who are on the side of the guys flying those planes, are now in the U.S. House of Representatives. So a war that has lasted nearly 2 decades, that is older than the youngest people fighting in it, has produced not only not an elimination of Islamofascism and terrorism worldwide. In that time, we have gone from trying to kill them in Afghanistan to swearing them into the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yes, we have.
So, when you put up your meme next year, you say,
think about that.
Never forget. I'm like, everybody has forgotten. We look at this stuff, we say, oh, yeah, we'll never forget. And then we move on with our lives. We don't really think about the long-term impacts of what has really happened.
No.
Ilhan Omar is particularly odious.
Right.
She is flat. I mean, we know Ilhan Omar sides with the Islamofascists.
Right.
She does. She is one of them. Rashida Tlaib is as well. She's just not as interesting when she says something.
No.
I would suggest to you that AOC is as well, but nobody cares because she's an idiot and she's basically just cutie pieing her way to the cameras.
Right.
But, you have at least 2 members of the U.S. House of Representatives, 18 years after 9/11, are on the side of the guys that we're fighting that war against. So we're sitting here now going, we have lessons we need to learn. Any lessons we might have learned have long since been forgotten.
Right.
I mean, we got the Democrat Party is now openly rooting for people to die. That's what terrorists do.
Right.
So what lessons have we learned? Yep. Not many, other than we know how to make better memes.
That's true.
I mean, we're much.
They look a lot better than they did.
Yeah, we've got much more. We have more outlets. I mean, we didn't even have MySpace when that happened.
Right
now, we've got Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and you'll see how I'm tying all this stuff together. All of these social media outlets have made it easier for us to talk about it, but we don't listen.
That's very true.
Too busy liking somebody else's picture of the spotlights or whatever.
Social media is very self-centered.
Well, that's the nature of social media. I mean, that's just all social media is. Hey, look at me.
Right.
Check out this thing that I did, or this drink that I had, or this food that I ate, or this dog that I walked, or whatever. Look at my grief. Look at my grief.
Right.
Well, what kind of grief is it? Well, because it was very sad. Do you feel like what have you learned from it, though? Right. I've learned that it's sad. What else have you learned? Not much.
Not much.
Not much, because we forget all the other crap.
No.
We forget all of the nuances, all of the real issues.
Can I point out one last thing?
Sure.
So, you said, God help us in, 2021?
Yeah.
When it's the 20th anniversary?
Because we love to put a bow on big numbers.
Think about 5 years after that, because it'll be 2026. So that'll be the 25th anniversary, and America will be celebrating 250.
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, holy crap.
Man, we're just going to have it's just going to be a meme-orama.
The semi-quincentenary, isn't that what it is?
God, is it the double sesquiquincentennial? Somebody can tell us. I don't even know. You know what? Email us to the site, laststopontheright.com. 250 years. Because I can look it up, but I'm not going to.
Right.
Laststopontheright.com. Or you can tweet. You can come to us through Twitter at LastStopOTR. Check out our Facebook group as well. If you got some stuff you want to add especially about this topic. I wanted to start with it. I know we spent like 20 minutes on it.
Yep, but
I wanted to start with it because I wanted to point out that look where we've gone. Yep. What have we actually learned? We've learned how to be more technologically adept at expressing our grief about it.
Right.
In an effort to attract people's attention to what we're individually going through. So we're going to show you a picture of a plane with a couple of dozen people on it hitting a building with a couple of hundred people on it that ended up killing a couple of thousand people, so that you know that we're sad.
Real.
And that's all that we've done. That's all that we've done. And again, I would point out that the newest class of recruits in the U.S. military that go over to Afghanistan were born after that war started.
Yep.
So what else have we learned? Not bloody much. And again, just to make a quick note about Ilhan Omar, she won't even say that it happened. She says, what was the quote? Some people did something.
Yep.
That is now in the U.S. House of Representatives. If anything, our approach to Islamofascism, easier for me to say, has gone backwards.
Yep.
We've actually gotten worse.
I agree.
Or dumber about it.
Yep.
Speaking of people that don't think 9/11 was that big a deal, the Democrat Party. Did you watch it last night, the debate? They had their third debate last night.
Only when the football game was in lightning delay.
Dude, it's exactly. I know that many of you who come here to the Last Pod on the Right, whether you're listening to us through our site at laststopontheright.com or through our friends at KLRNRadio, you expect us to pay attention to stuff like that so that you don't have to. I'm going to not watch the debate tonight because I'm sure Ben and Mike will watch it. And they'll have some salient thoughts. Well, I do have some salient thoughts. I always have salient thoughts.
Yes, you do.
At least I like to think of them as salient. But I did not watch. I caught the highlights later on. I didn't watch. I watched football.
Yeah.
I mean, why am I going to watch? Well, they're down to 10 people. This is the real, they've weeded out all the dummies. This is the real deal now.
They're just using a smaller clown car.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like,
all
okay.
it is.
Yeah, all that means is they went from a VW Beetle to a smart car.
Exactly.
Because they're still morons. The star of last night, besides Joe Biden's dentures. Did you see that? Oh, God, dude. I didn't see it till afterwards. Again, I didn't see any of it till afterwards. But Biden, I don't know what the hell the question was about. And it didn't matter because the moment this happened, and I'm going to explain to you what happened here in a second, it didn't matter what the guy had asked him. I can't remember which of the moderators were there. To me, they're interchangeable at this point. Somebody asked Joe a question. He starts answering and his dentures came loose.
Whoops.
Like, I'm not even kidding. He was like, you could see him trying to work them back into place while answering the question, which went, and again, we're talking about Joe Biden. And I don't think all those dogs are barking upstairs, if you know what I mean.
No, didn't he call Bernie Sanders the president at one point?
No, he called himself the vice president. He said, I am the vice president.
That's right. That's what it was.
Not, I was the vice president. I am the vice president of the United States. A direct quote from Joe Biden. I'm quite sure he probably thinks he is still. The senior moments are coming fast and furious for Joe. But the poor bastard is up there trying to work his dentures back into place using his tongue while trying to answer a question. This is the lead dog in their race, by the way. He is still leading their race.
Right.
I'm like, and especially considering the last time we saw him on stage. I'm like, man, I don't know if maybe he's got the wrong people around him, or maybe his wife's just like, whatever it takes to get you the hell out of the house.
Yes.
But when at least his eye didn't explode on camera is your best spin on the performance of your candidate, then you got problems.
Yep.
It's like, well, okay, his was it a couple of weeks ago? His head exploded on camera. We all watched his eye fill up with blood.
Right.
And like this, hey, at least this time it was just that his mouth fell out.
Yes.
And that, by the way, kids, would represent the high water mark of today's Democrat Party.
That's it.
There you go. Asian guy, Yang.
Yep.
He had a stunt that he teased. He said they're going to pick out a certain number of random Americans and give them $1,000 or something.
Right.
I was like, so really? So it's now vote in the presidential election, win valuable cash prizes?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, they make fun of Trump for being the reality show president, and then Andrew Yang is literally doing the Price is Right on stage. I'm like, we want to just have like three, door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, voter.
Will you take the $1,000 or
will you wait and see what's behind the? I'm going to take what's behind the curtain, President Yang.
Yes.
Oh, too bad. Because it's always
it's a whammy. Yeah. No, that's not what it is.
Big bucks, no way. So that wasn't the weirdest thing that happened. I mean, that's what talk about lowering our standards. You've got on that stage, you've got an Asian dude who thinks he's literally hosting a game show. A couple of guys who are like 100 years old who can't keep their faces from falling off. The racist fraud who taught one class at Harvard for $500,000 and now says college is too expensive.
You're right.
And then you had Robert Francis, the drunk furry, who actually said last night during the debate, and you had to wait for it because they had to get Bernie Sanders, and I just want to do this real quickly. Bernie Sanders has gotten to a point where I can't even listen to him.
Nope.
All he does is yell. I don't even care what he's yelling about at this point.
He's probably going deaf.
Well, you know what it is, because it's just going to be the same stuff all the time. Communist, 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 communist. Bernie's a communist. He wants to impose communism on America. We all know that. So it doesn't really matter. The specifics of his plans always boil down to the same thing. The government will own your ass.
Right.
That's what Bernie wants. But now all he does is yell. It's just like I'm like, dude, just move to Boca, buy the white shoes, pull the pants up to your nipples,
black socks,
go play shuffleboard. Because that's at this point, dude, that's all you are. You are the old guy that yells at the kids to get the hell off his lawn. Because that's all he does. It's blah, 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 blah. And what's he talking about? I don't know, something communist, but who cares? But while he's up there doing that, and he has become a joke. That he's even close. I'm like, they're so screwed they don't even know it.
Oh, yes.
Because they're sitting there, the Democrats are like, oh, this is going to be our year, man. We'll go get Trump. We'll go get him. And I'm like, have you looked at we make jokes about the clown car. And then there was Beto. And then there was Beto. Oh,
of course, the best highlight of the whole thing.
Beto has announced, my friends, that he will kill you to get your guns.
Yep.
Actually said it on stage last night. Beto O'Rourke, whose previous claim to fame is that he got whipped by Ted Cruz in Texas.
Yeah.
So the dude and he's a former Texas congressman. So this guy from Texas, and by the way, just a couple of years ago when he was, just recently was running against Cruz, he did an interview down on one of the Austin radio shows in which he said, if you have an AR-15, I want you to keep it. I'm not going to take your guns.
Right.
So that's out the window. So Beto from 2 years ago is no longer operative. Now we have Beto Beto version 2019. Beto announced that we are going to have a civil war if he's president.
Yep.
This is... I mean, I want to. You want to go into it and get on all the the details of how insane the anti-liberty crowd has gotten. They're like, yes, we are going. He is now selling T-shirts on his website saying, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. He is selling T-shirts. There are going to be liberals walking around this country wearing T-shirts saying, in essence, we will kill you if we must to stop you from exercising your civil rights.
Well, and that's what they'll have to do. But
and that's what we're talking about. It's ha funny. Beto O'Rourke is an idiot. Of course, we know he's an idiot. He's probably drunk, but that's been a thing for him.
Right.
Beto O'Rourke is threatening civil war.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, oh, he's resurgent now. He's making a comeback. He's a challenger again. Media is out there pushing this guy because he's so principled and passionate.
Oh, he's a challenge.
I'm like, yeah, he's principled and passionate. So is Fidel Castro. Yeah, man, he is principled and passionate. So is Jeffrey Dahmer. So is Charles Manson.
So is Stalin.
I mean, these guys. Yeah, that's great. Beto O'Rourke, much like Jeffrey Dahmer, he has a principle and he believes firmly in it and is willing to kill and is willing to kill. That is what serial killers do. Beto O'Rourke is one step away from being a serial killer.
It puts the lotion on the gun.
Oh, God. It puts the Rem oil on the gun.
Yes.
Or he gets but seriously, dude. What did he say last night? He's also demanding that all the finance companies, credit card companies, the banks, et cetera, that they know that he says, and I'm going to quote here, banks and credit card companies, this is a direct quote from Robert Francis, the drunk furry.
Right.
Banks and credit card companies must refuse to take part in the sale of assault weapons, stop processing transactions for gun sales online and at gun shows, stop doing business with gun and ammo manufacturers who produce or sell assault weapons. He doesn't know what an assault weapon is part of the problem.
Right.
But that's always been an issue. And they say, oh, it's just nomenclature. I'm like, no, it's not. It's the fundamental issue here is that liberals, the anti-liberty crowd, they don't understand what they're talking about. They just know that they hate everybody that knows.
Right.
Like, you understand what an AR-15 is, how it works, how it's not an assault weapon, it's a replica thereof, how it does not function like the M4 it's supposed to look like.
Right.
If you understand all that, then they hate you, and they will. As of last night, the ones that are supporting Beto O'Rourke, and I would include, the anti-liberty hate groups, the fascists like Not All Moms Demand in every, not quite every town. Right. They are going to kill you. If Beto O'Rourke is president and you say, no, the Constitution says I can keep my AR-15, he says we will kill you to get it from you.
What are they going to use to do that?
Well, I guess apparently assault T-shirts.
That's what. And I mean, I hate the term assault, an assault weapon.
Yeah, because that's not what that means.
Because the rock I pick up outside is an assault weapon.
If I assault you with it, it is
exactly.
But I mean, and beyond that, you look at a guy like Beto and be like, who the hell are you going to get to come do it?
Exactly. Oh yeah,
you're counting on law enforcement and presumably the military to enforce you're assuming that they'll all do it.
Right. People who are in that line, because
they tend to have weapons.
They don't have a problem using a weapon.
They tend to have them, and they tend to have friends who have them.
Exactly.
I mean, I just can't wait for the moment that, some of these people like Kamala Harris, she has a concealed carry permit.
Right.
She has a gun that she carries.
It's only to protect myself.
Well, that's what we all have them for. Is she going to arrest? Is she going to arrest herself?
Yeah,
I want to see.
Is he going to kill her?
Yeah, will Beto O'Rourke kill Kamala Harris to get her firearm
on the next edition of?
Well, he just says it's the AR-15s and an AK-47,
right?
But that's because he doesn't understand how that works. There are so many different semi-automatic rifles out there.
Other than those two.
Of so many different calibers. I have a Ruger 1022 upstairs. It shoots a little 1020. It's a little 22 caliber bullets.
Mm-hmm.
It's an adorable little gun. It belongs to my wife. It has been painted French lilac. But it's semi-automatic, and I can stick a 100-round magazine in it if I want to.
Right.
And yeah, it's a cosmetic choice that I've made.
I was supposed to say the fact that it's lilac.
It's French lilac. It literally, Glidden says that the color is French lilac. According to Beto O'Rourke, he's willing to kill me to get that gun out of my gun safe. Are you going to kill me to get the French lilac 1022? Good luck, Beto. Beto is a clown, and what he's doing us a favor, doesn't realize it. You may disagree with me here. Let me know if you do. LastStopOnTheRight.com or check out our social media at LastStopOTR, Facebook group, etc. Is Beto doing them damage by being this fascist? When Beto O'Rourke says, I will kill every American who does not hand over their so-called assault weapon, is he helping or hurting them? I know the anti-liberty hate groups love it. They're like, we're going to get them. We're going to have another march. We're going to put on our orange T-shirts and we're going to yell at people.
Right.
There's 330 million people in this country. Most of them are not in those groups.
No.
We're going to buy them back. You can't buy them back. You didn't own them to begin with. But I'm going to put this out one more time. Beto O'Rourke, or to whichever one of his little gophers is monitoring the interweb for, stuff that they want to report to Twitter or whatever. My AR actually is for sale. Beto O'Rourke, if you would like to purchase my AR, it is for sale. The price tag is $10 million.
Exactly.
I'm not even kidding. He says it's that important.
Pay up.
His wife can afford it. The hate groups that are backing him can afford it. They raise tons of damn money.
Yep.
$10 million. Prove to me that you mean what you say. Buy my AR, so that you don't have to kill me for it, because that's your alternative plan. Buy my AR, $10 million. And that is not a negotiable price.
I'll take those in hundreds, non-sequential numbers.
Non-sequential, yeah, and unmarked, please. And I'll give you a damn account number. But seriously, they've got that, and they've got their red flag laws, which not only don't work but can't.
Right.
You want to, and for those of you who think, but the red flag laws, even President Trump says that they make sense. Let me point out to you that the kid who shot up Parkland, 4 dozen visits to his home by law enforcement prior to that incident.
Yep.
Red flag my ass.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't even know what color that flag is. When they get to the 4,000th visit to your house, I feel like red is in the past. I don't even know what color that flag would be. But yeah, red. Anytime somebody says to me, but red flag laws. And I say, all that's going to be is people like Beto reporting their neighbors because they know their neighbor has an AR-15 and they, just to inconvenience them, because they'll do that.
Right.
So it's going to be crap like that. People that have no reason to be under scrutiny will be scrutinized because, vindictive left-wing fascists are going to do that. Mm-hmm. While people like the kid that shot up Parkland can get 4 dozen visits from the sheriff's department and nobody saw nothing. Kids in his school told the cops, this guy is going to come in here and shoot this place up if you don't step in. We're good. So, take your red laws and shove them up your butt.
Right.
That's straight out the gate. Guarantee you they are not going to work as intended. We don't need more laws.
Nope.
Law is not the problem.
Nope.
And we, do the obvious, criminals don't obey the law. Well, that's trite to say that. Of course, criminals don't obey the law. One other quick note on guns before we move along here. Here in this town where we record the last pod on the right, we're in Savannah, Georgia. Our city council. And this may be happening where the guys out in was it San Francisco? They passed the resolution declaring the NRA a domestic terrorist group.
Yes.
I'm like, how many piles of human feces and used syringes did you have to ignore to get to the building so you could cast the vote saying something about the NRA?
Right.
Your city is literally an open sewer. You got time for this? Well, we'll one-up you, kids. You could take your San Francisco and your NRA as a domestic terrorist group resolution, and you can enjoy second place because the City Council of Savannah, Georgia, has ruled that the state of Georgia needs to, do something against gun violence.
Yeah.
What was the red? They had a resolution they unanimously endorsed saying that the state has to get serious about guns.
Actually, the feds, too. They want everybody.
Keep in mind, the city of Savannah has precisely the same authority as the county board of supervisors out in San Francisco or whatever.
Right.
It has no legal force whatsoever.
Yeah. And this totally, I heard this yesterday and my reaction was, and Ben's mom, cover your ears, but
Mom.
Does 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Does anybody really give a shit what the city council has to say about that?
Given the general performance of the Savannah City Council and issues unrelated to so-called gun violence and or anything else, involving firearms, you'd think they'd have better things to do. I mean, now, granted, we're not San Francisco.
No.
Our city councilmen are not stepping over, an open petri dish of hepatitis
right.
to declare a civil rights group a terrorist group. I mean, Savannah's not that bad.
No.
But these guys...
They definitely have other things they should be focusing on.
Fiscal mismanagement tends to be the hallmark of Savannah's city administration. But
hey, the best thing
we want the state and the feds to do something against gun violence.
The best thing...
Thanks, guys.
They're
Appreciate you showing up.
They're actually breaking ground today on the new arena
that is going to cost
which is
$18 million times more than they said.
Not even that. It's not even designed yet. How the hell do you break ground on something?
Wait, they're digging a hole for something they're having to put in it.
They said it's 70% designed.
70% designed?
Yeah. How the hell do you break ground on something that's not ready to go?
Yesterday at the city council meeting, they unanimously resolved that guns are bad in the state of Georgia. The Fed should do something. This is the kind of nonsense I'm talking about, though. Granted, that is less. I guess apparently the guy who represents my district. I've never met him. Durrance.
Yeah, okay. That's why I was wondering if it was
announced
Tommy Chong
during their. He kind of looks like it.
He does a lot.
Announced this guy's name is Bill Durrance. I've never met the dude. Bill Durrance gets up at this meeting to make a statement in support of their resolution. Their meaningless resolution inspired by fear and misinformation, and announces that you can. And we have to stop this. And this is why we're having the resolution. You can go to a gun show or a pawn shop and buy a gun without a background check. No, you can't. And see, that's just, and they get this stuff because that's the kind of crap. I don't know who Bill Durrance is other than he's the alderman that represents my district. I have no use for the guy at this point.
Right.
He gets this crap from the Moms Demands and the Everytowns and the Beto O'Rourke's. They gin this stuff up. It's gotten to the point where anything said by the anti-liberty crowd, you can assume is wrong.
Right.
And they just go right past it. That's not important. What's important is bibbity bobbity boo with the violence. We need to do something about that. I'm like, well, you're doing nothing. You're making up crap, passing idiotic resolutions, and then at the top level, threatening to kill us.
Right.
That's your solution. So I wanted to put a knot on it, to tie it up in a bow. The solution of the anti-liberty crowd to the plague of mass shootings and gun violence is to kill the people who aren't doing the mass shootings and committing the acts of violence, to get their guns from them because they don't understand what the hell they're talking about.
Yes, yep.
I mean, that's where we've gotten at this point.
You're right.
And then, then you had Beto. We're going to take them all. No, you're not. And there is a cascade effect from that. It filters back down, not just because you end up with guys like the alderman representing my district just openly being wrong. It's starting to hurt them. They don't realize it yet. They had a couple special elections in North Carolina. And I know we got some listeners to the last pod up there in North Kakalaki, where I went to college, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
2 special congressional elections in the past week, which the Democrat media complex, this is going to be it, man. North Carolina's turning blue for good now. Here it comes. They're going to get – Republicans won them both. Republicans won them both, and neither one of them was all that close. I mean, they're close enough, but
right.
They don't understand why they're like, well, they had to come out the next day and do the thing where, they're like, oh, it's a moral victory. Democrats always do that when they lose. It's a moral victory. There's no such thing as a moral victory in politics, kids.
No.
If you lost the election, you did not morally win it. You lost it. Period. You don't get to go to Congress. You can sit at home and be like, well, morally, I'm a congressman. That's great. Because actually, you're sitting in your underwear.
I think Stacey Abrams plays by that rule. But,
well, they do that now.
Right.
So they lost 2 more. And then I think that is a consequence of the new rage, I guess, from the left.
Right.
That we've gone from, we hate, the left has always been guided by hatred and misinformation. We're not talking about God's smartest creatures.
Right.
I mean, if you've never met a committed liberal, one of the things you realize fairly quickly about them is they almost never know what the hell they're talking about. But it is becoming apparent to people because they're getting angrier and more violent. Antifa is now their lead group.
Right.
Okay. The Antifa is the same guys as Occupy. They're just Democrats. It's the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Ilhan Omar is in the House of Representatives. You have anti-Semites, violence, murderers, illegal aliens, Beto O'Rourke threatening to kill you if you won't give him your AR-15. And then they lose in North Carolina, and they don't know why. I'm like, well, maybe because you're threatening to kill everybody.
Right.
Is it possible that every time we see a Democrat, they're either trying to kill us, Antifa, or threatening to kill us, Beto O'Rourke? And then Georgia, we've got a special election coming up. And guess who's back in? Ossoff. Remember him?
Oh, God.
Dime Store Beto. He's Dime Store Beto. He's another thin-lipped, skinny, wealthy white dude who married well,
right?
Who's going to save the universe if you just vote for him. And I'm like, oh, you know what that means? That means Georgia is going to be flooded with like obnoxious Hollywood celebrities coming here to tell us to vote for the Dime Store Beto.
TV commercials on a constant basis.
I'm telling you, and I've just put this out there. If you're one of these Hollywood super celebs that's going to show up like you did for Stacey Abrams and you did for Ossoff last time and you do for all these, don't make me hate you, okay?
Right.
Like Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell was knocking on doors for Stacey Abrams, okay? Will Ferrell, he's not going to hear this, obviously, but in case Will Ferrell, man, I think you were one funny, funny dude. I have almost routinely enjoyed your movies. Right. Please do not show up here with a John Ossoff t-shirt on because it will just make me sad.
Yeah, don't ruin it.
I'm like, just be the funny guy. I'm like, don't show up here and make me not like you anymore because it turns out you're an idiot.
Yeah, no.
We're going to have that to deal with. Yay.
Yay. Forgive my ignorance. Ossoff, is that for our Senate seat?
Yeah, he's going after the seat that Isaacson's stepping out of. So, yeah, John Ossoff. And for those of you who do not know, John Ossoff ran against Karen Handel in a congressional special election, and they brought in all the heavyweights for Hollywood, just like they did for Stacey Abrams, just like they did for Andrew Gillum in Florida, just like they did for the races in North Carolina, all of which they lost. And they're going to be back.
Right.
For Dime Store Beto. Awesome. Yay. Yay. Yay us. A couple of other quick things that I wanted to do here on the last pod on the right. Quick reminder, of course, of our social media outlets available to you. At Last Stop OTR on Twitter. There is a Last Stop Facebook group and laststopontheright.com. During the debate, we learned there was a new ad that ran by a group called New Faces of the GOP. And it showed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then, there's, fire, and her image burns away, and it's this pile of skulls from the killing fields. She has gone bananas over this. The libs are apoplectic. They are because it ran during the debate. They paid the money. ABC said, yeah, we'll run it.
Okay, sure.
They are all over social media right now demanding that people boycott ABC because they ran this ad.
I think they kind of have to. I mean, if one party decides they want to advertise – the other, or they have to do it fairly, You
got to remember,
in radio.
Liberals don't think that way.
I know.
Liberals don't think that you actually. If liberals had their way, the Constitution would be rewritten so that everything had an exception.
Right.
So if you don't agree with us, this does not apply to you.
Right.
They're demanding. They've gone nuts this morning over this. We're recording here on Friday. The Friday story this morning is that AOC, the ad which depicted AOC and then all this other stuff about communism, is offensive and unfair. Some people are even saying it's a threat to AOC. I'm like, no, it's not. Man, do you realize we have gone so forget about Beto O'Rourke threatening to kill everybody in America that has an AR-15, which he is not doing.
Right.
Forget about all the rest of this crap. The Democrats are now defending Pol Pot. We have gone that far.
Yep.
If that's not the 2019iest thing I've heard all day, it's like, how dare you run that ad? Well, she is a communist, and that's what communism gives you is dead bodies.
Yep.
Communism has contributed more dead bodies than anything else. They're going nuts about it. I'm like, are you going to boycott ABC? Yeah, you're going to boycott ABC. Whatever. You're going to boycott ABC until tomorrow when the football comes on.
I was going to say, or as they take their kids to Disney.
It's
no offense, but all owned by the same company.
These mouse ears brought to you by communism. No, it's like the most capitalist enterprise in the universe, too.
Right.
Yeah. So you ban ABC. You go ahead and tell your kids.
Yep.
Speaking of bans, a couple of quick notes here. on the last pod on the right as we run short on time. Speaking of the bans, because we're banning stuff now, the president's even in on this. They want to ban non-tobacco flavored vape juice. Ban all the things. Well, that worked great before.
You know, they're doing that because like 46 people have died from vaping.
They even died from vaping.
40, even so, 40
died because they got that crappy oil that isn't sold in stores. They got from a pal. I'm like, hey, probably had mercury in it, dumbass.
Yeah.
You know, if the seal, it should be like anything else. If the seal's broken, don't drink it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could go up to the vape thing.
See,
let's just ban all the things. Why not?
See those little silver beads in the bottom of that?
We're 50 years into the war on drugs. That's working out super well. Let's ban some more stuff.
Yep.
You know, speaking of lessons that we can't learn. Let's ban some more stuff because it has never failed us before, except every other time we've tried it.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, obviously you shouldn't be selling people vape oil that has mercury in it. But if you're buying it from someone if you're buying things that you're going to put in your body from a dude sketchy enough, Charles Darwin says, well, that's a damn shame.
Thinning the herd.
I mean, you go to Sammy on the corner. Sammy says, this stuff's great. And he gives you a bottle that like the lid's missing. It's got tinfoil on it or something. Yeah. Like, you know, if you smoke that then and it kills you, bye.
Sorry.
You know, send flowers. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm like, you're going to ban more stuff. Hey, we're banning more stuff. That's great. Because we didn't have enough of a black market for everything else we're not supposed to have.
Right.
Let's put guns on the black market. Let's put ammunition in the black market. And you know what? We got all the drugs down there. And you can't get marijuana anywhere in America. No.
What?
Well, yeah. We've tried it over and over again. It never works, but let's put more stuff on the list.
Exactly.
Awesome. Good plan, guys. Other quick notes before we get to football as we wrap up. Nancy Pelosi is upset.
Really?
Yeah, apparently she has lost control of the caucus. They are, I think it was 2 days ago, they had the vote where they voted to have the talks about the talks they're going to have to talk about whether or not they're going to talk about impeachment.
Right.
That's about where they are right now.
Right.
Which means they're not anywhere. And she doesn't want to answer questions. She got mad at some reporter. The reporter asked her. She said, quote, and it's a quote from Gam Pelosi here. Understand that impeachment is a very divisive measure. But if we have to go there, we'll have to go there. But we can't go there unless we have the facts. I mean, talk about your political gibberish. I mean, she is the Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. This is the top-ranking Democrat in the U.S. government.
Well, she knows how to speak with a forked tongue very well.
She doesn't. But dude, it's like she's hammered. It's like she's hammered drunk. Well, except, you know, and I'm going to be fair to her right here. Nancy Pelosi is not hammered. She's not Beto. She's not hammered drunk and opening her mouth and letting dumb crap fall out. She has absolutely no control over her party. Is what's happening.
Right,
and she's frustrated by it. So she got snappy. Quote, we are on our path. Who the hell is not on their path? Everybody's on a path. It may not be the right path, but you're on it. Where it takes us is where we will follow the facts. I mean, that doesn't even mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm on this path. And if I stay on this path, it's going to take me where the path goes, unless I get off the path. Wow, that's some concrete stuff right there, Nance.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Yeah, appreciate it. 10 o'clock show is totally different from the 7 o'clock show. She's mad, and I feel bad for her because, you know, she's got these wingnuts underneath her now,
right?
Who are just doing whatever the hell they want to do. They don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, you realize that legitimately the most powerful person individually in the Democrat Party at this point is mystified by basic kitchen appliances.
Yeah.
AOC.
Yep.
Saw a disposal, didn't even know what the hell it was. Mystified by it. And in terms of individual influence, and she's an idiot.
Right.
I mean, she really is. I'm not trying to be unpleasant. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is actually dumb. I mean, she just doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. I mean, Ilhan Omar, the other Al-Qaeda squad members, they know what they're up to. Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are actively trying to undermine the U.S. government from inside.
Right.
They are Islamofascists. They are terrorists, accomplices, and that's what they're trying to do. Right. They hate Jews. They hate freedom, and they're going to try and kill it, and they're trying to help their guys kill our guys. That's what they're doing. But AOC, she's just talking. She's reading bumper stickers. I don't know.
Bumper stickers.
But that is the most powerful person in the party right now, and Nancy Pelosi is frustrated. And I think that's what led to that whole nonsense with the impeachment, because they don't know what they're doing with it. Keep in mind that we have an election in just over 1 year. They've been at this for 3 years now, and they have gotten to the point where they're talking about the talks that they're going to talk about when they have the talks to decide if they want to talk about impeachment. Because according to Nancy, they're on the path that they're going to follow, and it's going to go where it's going to go, and we'll follow that path, and it'll lead us where it's going unless we get off it.
Follow the element road.
All right, enough of that nonsense. There was some other crap. Do we want to talk about the Greenpeace thing? I don't even know if I want to talk about it.
No.
They jumped off the bridge in Houston.
It just pissed me off.
I'm like, every single thing they were wearing was plastic. So they're like, we're going to stop oil.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, you morons. I liked it better when the cults just drank Kool-Aid, stayed in the compound, and waited for the comment.
Put their tennis shoes on, and we're ready to go.
You know, I don't know if that was because the Antifa guys are hogging all the headlines. I had, to be honest with you, I'm only going to say this about it, I'd forgotten Greenpeace was still a thing.
Yeah, me too.
I liked it better back in the old days when the cult guys would just drink the Kool-Aid behind the walls of the compound, wait for the comment, and not bother anybody.
Right.
Like, just go back. Just go do that. Get on the comment. A couple other things real quick. Mark Sanford, former governor of South Carolina, current congressman from South Carolina, says he's going to run for president.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell that is, but it's like, are we having a pork off?
I don't
know. And if you're a MAGA type, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but here's your boy Ben Crystal saying, I think if we agree, if you're honest, Trump's kind of a pig.
He is.
Mark Sanford, also a pig.
Also a pig. And
Mark Sanford's a better Appalachian Trail hiker. I'm like, really? Mark Sanford?
I know, but it kind of like
Joe Walsh, I get that these guys are just looking to boost burnish their credentials a little bit. Fine, go ahead.
Right.
But really, I mean, if there's going to be somebody that's going to challenge Trump, can it be somebody that, like, I don't know whether they have a chance, because neither one of these two guys do.
Nah.
But it can at least be somebody, like, I don't know, interesting.
Right.
Or at least, I guess we could say that Mark Sanford is an interesting guy, because he's the only guy I have ever heard of that used hiking the Appalachian Trail as a euphemism for boinking my girlfriend in Argentina.
Yeah.
That was new. Yeah. I'll give him credit for that. But you said earlier, you're like, oh, I might vote for him.
Yeah,
Fine, go ahead. I don't see that as an improvement. Why make a lateral step?
No, you're right.
I'm not morally judging either one of them, because who gives a crap? They're all, everybody in Washington's pretty much garbage.
You're right.
It's like, oh no, I have morals that I'm sticking to. No, you don't. If you voted for Trump, you're already beyond having a moral objection to Mark Sanford. Don't even start.
True. Yeah.
I'm not you specifically. I mean, like, if you're out there, I voted for Trump, but I can't vote for Mark Sanford because he went hiking on the Appalachian Trail. I'm like, no, you don't get to do that.
Yeah, you can, because, Trump paid off a porn star.
What had happened was, I'm like, it was all over when Bill Clinton, it was all over.
That was it.
It was all over. You are Pollyannish if you think that you're going to get a guy in the White House ever again who doesn't have some dirt under his fingernails.
Right.
I'm just wondering if maybe we could get somebody slightly less just gross. Gross. I mean, it's gross.
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 That's a good way to put it.
All right, anyway. I want to say hi to my boy, the Hog.
Oh, God. I don't.
No, he's ready for you, buddy.
I don't. I know.
And if you have not, the Hog is one of our regular emailers here at the Last Pod on the Right. And you can email us through our site at laststopontheright.com. And we always love to hear from you. But the Hog is ready for you, buddy.
I love the Hog, but he pulls for the Packers.
Yeah, he's a Packer backer. But he's ready for you. Dude, right now my only thought about the Packers is, why is Aaron Jones, he needs to pick up the pace. I know it's only week 1.
Right.
But I took him in like 3 fantasy leagues. And the homeboy is like, week 1. I'm like, dude, week 2 needs to be better or I'm going to cut your ass. Anyway, so one other thing about football, because I nailed it. The moment Antonio Brown began making noises like he might not play for them this season, I said, watch this. I even said it on Twitter, at LastStopOTR. I literally tweeted this. AB is going to end up in the Patriots jersey. People are like, nah, man, come on. We have a good friend, our boy Pat, one of the Jones Street Posse OGs, who actually sat in for you a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
He's like, no, Belichick's not going to do it. You watch this. It doesn't matter if Belichick is a fixer. It's that Belichick thinks he's a fixer.
He damn sure tries.
And within hours, AB was cut by the Raiders. AB was in a Patriots jersey.
Same day.
Same day.
Same day.
Hours. Yep. Literally like an hour and a half, I think.
Same day.
Yeah, that's right. I called it. I'm so good at this, baby.
Well, you know, I saw a lot of people saying it. They were like, "Oh, he's going to end up there."
Dude, the Patriots at this point, and it's like watching a video game, watching someone play a video game where they have all the cheat codes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's either that or somebody was like, "Oh, Belichick's sold his soul to the devil." I'm like, no, Belichick didn't sell his soul.
That was me.
Belichick is the devil.
He is.
Brady
the devil.
sold his soul to the devil. Belichick is the devil. I mean, it's evil wizard time. It's just now we all have to sit through another season. We wonder whether or not somebody will be able to beat the Patriots when it matters.
That's where people go to rehab.
32 teams in the National Football League. 31 of them that by the end of the season we're going to be sitting there going, I hope one of the other 31 can take these guys when it counts.
That's exactly right.
And if you're a Falcons fan, shut up because it's not you.
No.
Just don't even start. 28-3, you're not allowed to talk.
No. My wife waking me up.
Stop it.
You need to watch this.
If you are a Falcons fan, I do not want to hear from you about the Patriots at all this season or ever. I am a Giants fan, no matter how bad we are, and we're bad. The fact that we've got Saquon Barkley in our backfield and we're still that terrible tells you a lot about what happened to the Giants in the last 10 years. However, when it comes down to brass tacks, we can beat the Patriots when it counts.
Twice.
Only time the Giants have played the Patriots in the Super Bowl happened twice. Beat them both times.
Both times.
Patriots were, in fact, we stopped them from having an undefeated season. Keep in mind, by the way, that were it not for a couple of plays that broke the other way in that Eagles Super Bowl and an amazing catch by David Tyree, the Patriots would have 9 titles by now. 9.
Yep.
I should also mention that the Patriots have been winning Super Bowls as long as we've been fighting in Afghanistan.
Yeah, it has all been in
all right.
recent history.
It's all recent history. Kids, if you get a chance, check out our friends over at KLRN Radio, America's podcast network. I want to recommend this week the Red Wine. 5 conservative women hosting a podcast on KLRN Radio.
And they call themselves the Red Wine?
It is badass.
I love it.
Those are some bad.
I love it.
They some bad bitches right there, too.
I love it.
Anytime I get somebody who's like, oh, man, women, you know what? I'm like, hey, you think that women need your protection? Check these broads out. Because they'll take you, baby.
Nice.
So check them out on KLRN Radio along with all the other fine offerings that they have there, not including this pile of garbage. Of course, want to remind you, check out our website at laststopontheright.com. We've given you the social media links a million times. Check us out on Twitter and on Facebook. I am Ben Crystal.
I'm Mike Cable!
What the hell was that, dude?
Bernie Sanders style, man.
Was that what that was?
That was Bernie Sanders
style. So that your big outro tonight was you're going to do Bernie Sanders screaming into the distance?
Sure.
All right. That's a different way to go.
Bernie.
This has been... Man, I don't even like you at this point.
I'm freaking your dogs out.
You are a terrifying dog. All right, kids, this has been we're going to get out of here. This has been the last pod on the right. We out.
See ya.